Yeah, so I'm, was from Canberra, but I work for until very recently, obviously, mostly Canberra-based company called IceLab. And being in Canberra, where there are a lot of cultural institutions, we do a lot of work with cultural institutions like the National Museum. And in particular, this involves kind of building little sort of touchscreen applications or interactives, which is what Maxine loves to call them, to kind of supplement their exhibition content. And I guess traditionally we built these things in Flash because we really wanted it to be a kind of smooth experience. We wanted like really smooth animation and the kioskiness that Flash provides, which has in turn led to a lot of this and this and then this from me. So I'm not really the biggest fan of Flash. Like it's kind of a behemoth of a runtime. And I find while it does some things really well, it's kind of an enormous pain in the butt to deal with. So we've also tried building these kind of things in Keynote. So this is a project for the National Archives, actually, which is built in Keynote, and it works really great, but it's not without its limitations. Keynote's particularly good if you're building something where your client changes their mind all the time about the things that they want to put in it. And so earlier this year, the National Museum came to us asking to build 2 more touchscreens. And we kind of had a look at the tech available, and we sort of had a look at the leaps and bounds that have been made in CSS3 and browser support and HTML5, and said, why don't we build them with web standards? And so we did. And I'm going to take you through one of them now. Some weird? Okay. That way? There we go. Yeah. So this is like a project that we've been working on for the National Museum. It's about Flemington, and particularly the Melbourne Cup, so appropriate for where we are. And everything in it is built with web standards. So all the animation is done with CSS transitions. Each page is a separate static file that's loaded in via Ajax. I've basically written a JavaScript library that handles the transition between all the page states. And all the background animation is done in Canvas, basically for performance reasons. And in general, it works really well. And I don't know if you noticed, but if you look at the URL bar up there, we're using the history API to basically keep state throughout the application. So if I say refresh this anywhere within the application, it'll retain its state. So the advantage to using kind of web standards over our previous approach is firstly it's accessible, which particularly for government organizations is really important. So the National Museum is bound by Agimo standards, and so in the past when we built Flash applications, they always had to rebuild them in HTML anyway, so this saves them a whole bunch of work. And secondly, as a company, and in particular me, we don't have to use Flash anymore. We get to kind of build using the tools that we know and love. We're not beholden to an IDE. So in the past, if we wanted to make changes or something and Flash had moved up a version, then it was a massive pain to try and go back and potentially deal with a whole bunch of compatibility issues. And it also gives us some flexibility about the way those pages come together. So this project was actually built using a Ruby static site generator called Staticmatic. And I've used Haml, Sass, and CoffeeScript to build everything in it. So that all compiles to CSS, JavaScript, and HTML, obviously. So it's all pretty simple. And it means basically that I can use the tools that I want. And this project has been deployed in the museum for the last 3 months. Basically, we've got a Windows XP computer running Google Chrome in full screen in kiosk mode. And yeah, it works really well. Ideally, we would have had a Mac Mini or some Mac hardware, so we could have deployed it in something like Safari, where they have hardware acceleration. But I think, in general, like we've kind of proven the concept, at least for ourselves, that web standards are the kind of way that you should go for this kind of stuff. We're in the process of getting this stuff online, so if you're interested, you can follow me, make it sound the top one, or IceLab, and poke through the source in the next kind of couple of weeks when we put it up. And that's what I know.